So welcome everybody to another Legion Live, where we try to bring you insightful, updated, relevant, cool stuff. And it basically gives us an excuse to talk, because ever since Norm and I partnered up in business, we pretty much avoid each other. So we force ourselves on this live so we can actually have somewhat of a conversation. While those of you that are on the book face are watching this or getting this together, go ahead and Norm, give us an introduction on kind of the topic today and introduce our guest.
All right. So today it's something everybody's talking about. Matter of fact, Amazon just created a program around it, but it's about external traffic. As you can see, outside traffic, external traffic, but driving traffic
to your Amazon
site.
Yeah, it should be outside traffic. Here, let me change it to external traffic.
So there we go. All right.
Like a giant moron.
But anyways, if you want outside traffic, go for it. But external traffic is, there we go. Anyway, we've got Anthony Lee here, expert extraordinaire on external traffic. Yeah, you are. Yeah, you're a major. But let's get into it. So Anthony, what are some different ways driving external traffic to your listing?
And let me preface that question a little bit, if you don't mind, and say actionable bite size. Let's not get too in depth, because I know you do some crazy magician type stuff. We don't want to get too far into that, but simple, actionable. What's a low hanging fruit that people are leaving on the table when it comes to external traffic? And I would also raise the question, why does external traffic matter right now in the Amazon space, especially going into the biggest Q4 in history?
Wow, that was a lot all at once. Okay. Bite size, actionable stuff. Anybody that knows me knows that I'm a big fan of social media. So I think right off the bat, I would say if you're not posting content for your brand on social media sites, you could be doing better, especially the four that I really like to talk about the most: TikTok, Snapchat, Instagram, and YouTube. And the reason why is because they have the new TikTok-esque platforms for all of them. Obviously TikTok, but YouTube Shorts, Instagram Reels, and Snapchat Spotlight. The reason why these provide such an interesting kind of medium for content sharing is that it puts you in front of strangers. If you scroll through as a user, you will see you don't know these people. These are not your followers. These are not people that you follow. These are literally everybody that's on the app.
So let me ask why that matters. I think I understand it, but it would be good to hear an explanation. New users, evergreen users, because if we have a Facebook page set up for a product and we're running content to those people, that audience, it's the same people that are already familiar with our stuff, right?
Mm-hmm. That's right.
So what you're saying is the importance of this is evergreen audience, new funnels. You're not just speaking to the same people.
Yeah, so it's a new audience. That's the whole purpose of getting in front of strangers, is that it gives you the opportunity to expand that audience. You bring them into your fold using content on those platforms. And then, you can send them, you can funnel them and filter them to your main YouTube page or to your Facebook page or wherever, where they can get to know more about your brand. But the idea is that it's a free way to get in front of massive amounts of totally new audience. And it takes considerably less effort, because there's a lot of different ways to do this, right? You could also, for example, put a bunch of blog content out there and SEO rank it. But how many of us feel comfortable doing that? How good are you at ranking stuff on Google? That's a whole skill set. Way easier just to make some videos and then post them on a social media platform and, stay consistent with that. And ideally, eventually it goes viral or semi-viral. It just gets a lot of views and it pushes traffic to you. So that's, I think, the lowest hanging fruit for me, because it's just the easiest way to do it.
And do you think that people overcomplicate content? When I think of doing a Instagram reel or something for a product, it absolutely makes me panic, because I think I have to go get a big expensive production company, hire actors, models. And Norm, I know you've done a lot more video production than me, but if you guys could for a second talk about how maybe we overcomplicate it and maybe some simple steps just to get started and play.
Sure. Norm, do you have thoughts on that? Because I know that you guys do a lot of video stuff.
Yeah, the main thing is just driving it back to your listing, right? So it doesn't have to be complicated. A matter of fact, if it, looks like it's made for TikTok or Instagram and it's just a person talking, we find that gets more engagement than anything. And one of the things I want to talk about that I think can really drive a lot of traffic is Google My Business. There's no better way for me outside of social media than to use Google My Business and use your product listing link as the anchor URL. It's pretty simple. It'll ask you where you want to drive the traffic. You say your product listing, and then you put that product listing, that URL, into every search social media post, or if you put it into your articles, every one of those will be driven back to your listing.
I have a question about that real quick, Norm.
Mm-hmm.
Yesterday in our Centurion League group, actually, someone was asking about that, saying they were having a hard time getting approved because they couldn't show Google they had a physical location. How do you get around that?
I don't know what happened to them. I did answer them in the group saying that it used to be a year ago or even a year and a half ago where you had to be bricks and mortar. Google changed that recently, and I've got all my brands, Lunch with Norm, all that stuff. All you have to do at the beginning is provide an address. Now that address can be anywhere in the world. It has to be a real address where it can be verified. One of the things I mentioned was make sure that it's not going to a PO box. Make sure it's a real, it could even be your home address. This address is not going to be published. You can choose to publish it, but you don't see it if you don't want it. You have to click a button to have it published. The other thing I mentioned in the group was do not go for phone verification right now. Google is backed up. It's taking forever. Get the postcard. So once you have a selection you have an option to get a postcard, get it mailed out to you. It takes about a week to 2 weeks, and then you just verify and you're off and running.
Which is interesting. You're saying snail mail is better than phone call. That seems so counterintuitive.
Yeah, isn't that something?
It only takes a couple of days, though. That is a great free resource too. And to add to that, Google My Business. What's really cool is once you're on Google My Business, obviously this is like next level, and it costs a little bit of money. But once you're there, you can actually list your business in directories. One of the reasons that people do directories is because you're basically borrowing a larger organization's SEO capabilities, because these directories, they've been around for a little bit longer. They've ranked for certain keywords, and they're kind of lending you or renting you for a fee space in a specific category where they have ranked really high for certain keywords. And so for like $1,500 a year, you could be like on UpCity under one of their major categories, or up to 6 as a nationwide business with a Google My Business. So yeah, I mean, that's another free, awesome resource.
So, going back a little bit, we were talking about videos, we were talking about these, social media content. If I were someone that had not really started with a social media presence yet, I hadn't started putting content out, there's so many, right? And it's so confusing. Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and even like Instagram, there's like 6 versions of, there's the reels, there's the posts, there's the stories. Where are you seeing, like, again, I hate to keep using the same phrase, but the lowest hanging fruit as far as what platform and which piece of the platform should people learn first to get started with maximum ROI?
I think that you should be making content for TikTok because that has the capability of growing the fastest audience. Because content just goes viral for whatever reason, and then all of a sudden, boom, you've got all these followers. And they are also really into authenticity there, like the audience in general. So if you're just, you don't have to be polished. You could just be like, hey, I run this business and I really believe in this product. People appreciate that. So I think TikTok is a great place to go. I think Instagram is awesome for influencers still, even though they're a little bit more expensive there. There's just a much bigger pool of people who kind of understand the game. It's really easy to search them out using usernames and hashtags, and influencer marketing is definitely a play that people should be considering making. And then I think just to have a credible repository of awesome information about your brand that can always be revisited over time, you should also be posting to YouTube. because it won't make a huge difference tomorrow. Like TikTok, you can go viral tomorrow. YouTube, you probably won't. But a year and a half from now, you'll be like, look at what I built. And it was because I was consistent on YouTube. So those are the three. If you didn't do anything else, you could take the same video content too. That's the thing. You don't have to like make one specifically for this and for that. You can just take your phone and you can film what you're going to film, and you can shorten it to the right links for the right platform. And then those are the three that I would put that content on consistently.
You know, one thing that you can do as well, if you have one video, you can use an app like repurpose.io and repurpose the heck out of it all over the place and make it different for everything. And it could be just short little videos. You can make them for whatever the length is for that platform. Anyways, we get a lot of leverage from that. Another one, people are probably sick of me talking about this, but using a raw link. So don't use a super URL, but put it in a press release and use a high quality distribution for a press release. And guess what? It's going out to all these high authority sites. And those are going back to Amazon. So people love that as well.
Yeah. No, on the same note, like the press release, the reason you do the press release is for the backlinks and kind of under the same vein, but for a different reason. I like to do this with shopping influencers on Instagram, because all of these affiliates then turn around and have a link back to your product on their sites.
Yep. Yeah, that's
and
great.
You could get those on dozens of those. And not only do they drive sales, but I really do think that Amazon likes it when their affiliates are successful. So you'll see some good results from that too, I believe.
I think you have to know your audience too. So depending on knowing your audience and what platform to use, but I want to talk about, and I don't know if you've ever used this app before, but Rand Fishkin, he's the founder of Moz, came out with Spark Toro. It is an incredible app to understand who your audience is, who the influencers are, and you can do it at a very low cost. And then you can just target those people and do exactly what you said, Anthony.
Yeah, I am familiar with Spark Toro, and I think that tools like Spark Toro are especially important now. A lot of people who have been utilizing Facebook advertising for a while may be already aware of this, but for those of you who haven't visited it in a little while, if you go and try to look under your audience tab, you'll notice that Audience Insights isn't a feature anymore. You can't just look up people who like this page, also like this. All of the awesome data I used to get from affinity scores based on what people liked, you don't have access to that anymore. So tools like Spark Toro are essential if you want to ever do any meaningful dive into a market, because the free tool, the most used free tool, just isn't there.
Right.
So talk about why this matters, guys. Educate me here. There's so many people that, do plenty well just selling on a marketplace, whether it's, Amazon, Walmart, eBay, Etsy, and don't do external traffic. Does it really matter? Does it make that big of a difference to go through and figure this out?
I think it does personally, because so here's the thing. In my position, I network with so many sellers from all different parts of, like, I guess, the success spectrum, right? So few of them put their products on Amazon and then it just takes off. Now it does happen, right? Amazon is a big audience. If your product just fits the right niche in there, it can go. If you have the budget, you might have to help that along by putting a bunch of money into PPC, which some people have done. I mean, I've had friends that test this and they put like $2,000 a day into PPC. They could afford it though, and you get pretty good results there too. But for a lot of people who might not have the budget and then they just didn't get lucky, it's like sometimes you have to help the process along. Like just being on the catalog isn't the only thing, right? You're going to end up on the bottom of the catalog. You have to help the process by making people aware that your product is there. And external traffic is what does that. Amazon likes external traffic. We see this time and time again, because when you push external traffic and you get conversions, we see significant rank increase. We see rank stability. We see cost per click on advertising change and go lower. ACOS goes lower. So these are all indications that Amazon likes it. And I think because even they realize like the people on Amazon have a specific browsing pattern that they follow, and this is going to leave them blind to a lot of new opportunities. So external traffic kind of helps that along, brings them new buyers, which Amazon likes. It brings new eyeballs to your listing. And then, you know, the ideal scenario is one of these avenues, it really takes off. Whatever niche, whatever type of person is a regular viewer of one of these avenues, you know, is motivated that much more to share your product. And then that's the channel that your product gets really hot on. You're not limiting yourself to only, you know, these channels that Amazon provides when you do that.
And what's the current doctrine on how we funnel traffic to Amazon? I'm not talking about where the traffic's coming from, but are we using raw links? Are we using super URLs? Are we using, you know, like all these different kind of gimmicky is not the word, but kind of hacky, manipulative, you know, things that have worked. Are those still working? Do we need to stay away from them now? Are they not working as much? What's the plan? We have a link posted somewhere. Somewhere is up for debate, but driving it to our listing, how do we actually drive it?
So I have never seen evidence that leads me to believe that the URL ever causes problems. Basically, if you drive traffic, it's important that that traffic be concentrated to a specific keyword, or else it kind of gets equal distribution amongst any keywords that have weight on your listing based on what Amazon thinks is relevant. You don't actually control the relevance as much unless you route it to a keyword. So telling people to search a product, obviously that's really effective. That's called the search find method. People use that a lot. That's super effective because that's kind of how the search engine was designed to be used in the first place. Super URLs work just because they do route that weight to a specific keyword. You lose a little bit of like the power behind search find, but at very least you're still making sure that a keyword is attributed. But I think right now what makes the most sense is this new tool. Now, obviously, you can't use it unless you have attribution, which you can't have unless you're brand registered. Yep. But the new brand referral tool, from like a nuts and bolts, you know, business mindset, looking at the numbers, they're giving back 10% of the referral fee essentially. So instead of paying 15, you only pay 5 because they're taking away 10% through this tool. I think it makes the most sense to just make sure that you have that attribution tag in the URL, which means you won't be able to do search find in that instance. You'll have to actually link to your product. I still think it's important to make sure that the keyword is somewhere in it. However you choose to put it there, as long as you know it registers, that's good. But I think the most important component of that URL now is going to be that attribution tag, so that you get that brand referral, because then it's going to cost you significantly less to make that sale.
That's awesome. Well, I appreciate you sharing all this. Norm, any other follow-up questions before we cut out? I know we're basically at the end of our time with Anthony, but anything else to follow up with?
Well, the only thing I can say is you don't need a megaphone to hear that Amazon wants external traffic. Like that Amazon referral program, hey, what more do you need? And like you said, it could save you some money, on commissions. But no, I think we covered quite a bit here today.
Yeah, and if any of you have any further questions, you can post it in here. Make sure to join our free Facebook group, Private Label Legion. It's not a huge group because we deny a lot of people that are spammy, but we have really high engagement rate. And if you ask questions, you typically get pretty good answers. Also, if you want to see more content from Anthony, I've been following and known Anthony for a couple years now, and he's pretty good about bringing really good, new, innovative content and techniques to the space. You can follow him by looking him up on social media. Also checking out Canopy Management. He's partnered with Brian Johnson. Is it you and Brian? Am I missing someone else in there?
Brian Burt, Brian Johnson. Those are the
That's why I was confused. I forgot
big cats.
Brian's. But really, really good guys. Got a lot of good content out there, so make sure to follow them. If you guys have any other questions, make sure to post them in the Facebook group too, and tell us what you want us to cover on the next Legion Lives. We love getting recommendations from all of our listeners and all of you amazing e-commerce entrepreneurs out there. And we will see you guys next week on the Legion Live. See y'all.
See you later.
Thank you.